God, and in the name of the Father and of His Son, Jesus, and by the power of the Holy Spirit of God. That's what I was thinking. I now pronounce you one together. Wait, I didn't say it yet, Brian. You are now husband and wife.
I'm Angelo Harris. That's my wife, Courtney Harris. It was in high school. We pretty much hung around the same crowd, but we never actually engaged with one another. She really didn't notice me for a while.
We've been in high school the whole time together, but I don't remember Angelo until 11th grade. And like he said, we had mutual friends, and I tried to get him to take me to the prom, but he wouldn't go with me to the prom because I was in a relationship, but that person didn't want to go to the prom with me. So,
And my mom said that I couldn't take you.
And his mom said he couldn't take me. So then in 12th grade, we didn't go to the prom together, but we went to the prom together. And then we shortly started dating after graduation. Then we dated 3 times, and then the 3rd time was a charm.
12th grade, we ended up speaking a little more seriously, and then we actually started dating after graduation. And we were off and on for a little bit, and I just felt like if I was to ever get back with her, I'm putting a ring on that finger.
It was quiet, and I just heard this voice say, "You need to call Angelo." And I'm sitting in the car, right, having this conversation. I'm sure other people probably think I was listening to music, but I was thinking I was going crazy because I'm having a conversation. At the time, I was like, I'm going crazy. But, you know, I know it was divine intervention. And I was like, no, I don't want to call him because he's not going to answer the phone. We didn't end very well, and he's going to think I'm crazy. So the voice kept saying, you better call. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to call. I'm going to let it go. And I called, and he answered the phone, and I was shocked. And we just went from there. I knew he was the one because we was always going back to each other. It was like this game. And at the time, when I was 18, he gave me a promise ring. And I wasn't ready for that promise ring because I was like, oh my God, he gonna get married. I'm 18, you know, I'm not ready for that. And in that conversation, it was like all of these visions of the person I always wanted. And now I have them. So, what do I consider good qualities of a marriage is trust, communication, always being there for each other no matter the situation.
Communication, being able to open up to one another, honesty.
Anything that we want, we support each other, and I think that's a big thing. I think just being open with each other, being honest with each other, but also complimenting each other, because sometimes in marriage you get lost. So you're wondering, okay, am I doing this for this person? But in the midst of it, you lose yourself. And him being understanding, like, okay, Courtney, go out and have a girls' trip or go do something for you because you're always doing so much for me and the kids. I think that what promotes is just being able to compliment each other and knowing that when one person is lost, you're there to help them find a way. How we handle disagreements, that is still a work in progress. We're doing better though at first, I think, because our personalities are like, we both have to be right.
We have this thing that we do, like if something's bothering us, she'll come up to me and say something like, I want to talk to you about something, or we need to talk about this. And that's her thing. I'm kind of different. Like if I'm upset at that moment, I kind of want to step back, assess the situation. before I rush in and make
It doesn't
matters
matter
worse.
who's right. It's about what is the basis of the conversation, and is it a meaningful argument? You know, are we arguing about what are we going to eat today, or is it some real substance there?
You're able to sit there and talk to one another if you have some issues, something was bothering you throughout the day, and you know, like, I can just go to this one person.
Still better together means to me is this is my best friend. I would not want to imagine life without him, because the things that I lack, I know he has, and I wouldn't want to see what that looks like without him in the picture. So going through life, I think, you know, it has its ups and downs, but I would take that journey with him any day, anytime. And I know that with God, the sky's the limit for us.
When we were married, we became one. So when we're apart, I need my other half to feel complete.
Okay, my name's David Smith, and this is my wife, Mary Smith. In the 10th grade, and I was focused on graduating high school because everybody around me was dropping out. So I was really, really focused to the point where I wasn't dating or anything, and my mom got a little worried. So she made my brother, you know, take me out with him, and it just so happened that he took us to a little town called Poughkeepsie, New York, and Mary's sister was getting married, and after the reception, that's how her and I met.
My mom asked me to go outside to get something for her, and as I was coming down the steps, he looked directly in my eyes, and I just knew that was it, something within.
Coincidentally, the night before that incident happened, I had the most vivid dream, vision, or whatever on the wall, and Mary's picture was focused on the wall, and I didn't know who she was or why I was dreaming or anything. So whenever that next day, when you know, incidentally we went there to Poughkeepsie, I saw her, and the rest was history. I think trust, learning to trust, understanding.
Being able to be committed during challenges, because as we all know, my husband, his mom just passed, and he said to me, he said, honey, my mom, she did not want to go to a nursing home, and I need you to know that you'll be there with me and to help me. So through that year of challenge with his mom, of taking care of her, I love my husband, and I said that being that I loved him, I knew that I would have to stand by his side. And I know some days he was tired and he didn't feel well, and going to work and coming home and then taking care of his mom. It was the love that God had for me, that I had for him, to help us to endure.
Empathy, in other words, learning how to feel with her as opposed to, you know, for her or whatever. And understanding that, you know, marriage is a long-term commitment. And that's the basis of which you have to go on, I think.
Realizing that you're maybe come from different backgrounds, or you're two different individuals, and realizing that you're not going to all be on the same page or thinking the same way, but you have to be understanding in your way. For me, still better together would be, mostly all my life, mostly everything that I do is I put God at the center of all. Center of everything, and to me that would make everything better.
I'm J.R. Matthews, and this is my wife, Ponytail Penny. I'm just playing. This is my wife, Keosha. We actually met on Facebook. We had a mutual friend, and from what she told me, she saw my picture, and she poked me, and I poked her back. I saw her name, I just thought I knew her.
Like he said, I was on Facebook one day, and usually I don't poke anybody. Or pretty much when you poke them, you're trying to get their attention. But it was something about JR. I thought I knew him. His face looked very familiar, so I hit the poke button. He poked me back. So then we started messaging and started talking. After a few days of talking, and we still couldn't figure out where we knew each other from, I gave him my number, he gave me his. We talked on the phone for hours and hours. And then finally, I was like, this don't seem right. We need to meet up. So we met, and we actually went to this coffee scene where they had music playing and it's poetry and different things like that, different artists trying to promote some of their music. When I tell you, me and JR talked for hours about ministry, and that's when I kind of knew then, this is something different, something that I've been praying for.
And after going through so much stuff, it was like, it was obvious that if she loved God that much, she would do the right by me compared to all the things I had been through. So I think we were ending a date one night, and we were standing by right after when we started dating, and she was completely different from anybody I'd ever met before, and everything about her was always connected some kind of way back to God or church or loving God. I mean, she would want to pray after our phone calls at night before we went to sleep, because we would talk until we fell asleep, and she was about to leave. And I already knew I loved her then. And she looked me in my eyes and said, I love you. And when she said that, it was like,
that date, that we talked about church and God and different things in our life for hours at a time, I knew then it was something special about this guy.
I knew she was the one. This was it for me. Like, it's the end of the road, I'm done.
Commitment, communication, and trust. I'm his best friend, he's my best friend, so I just feel like as long as we're open with each other and we come to each other with everything, the ugly, the good, everything, I feel like that's what holds us together, that we're open with each other and we're honest with each other. And at the end of the day, we're able to tell each other we need each other. At first, I used to shut down. I wouldn't say anything. I just go pout pretty much, and he go his way and I go my way. But as we matured, I say over this past year, now I kind of calm down. I let him talk. I'll listen, and then he'll vice versa. He'll listen and let me talk, and we come to common grounds. We agree on something.
But over time, I've learned that just have to be patient. And at some point in time, when the emotions die down, put yourself in the other person's shoes. I may be looking at it from one angle, when I need to look at it from her side and vice versa. But we try to let the emotions come down and then come back, not sleep on it, but try to keep the communication healthy. Still better together, to me, it means for me, together, I'm a better version. I'm a better version of me. I know God sent her for me because my whole life is different now. She holds me accountable. There's things I probably wouldn't say or do if she's not in my life. So I'm definitely better with her. So we're better together than I could ever be apart from her.
Pretty much like he said before, he balances me out and I balance him out. And without him and without me, the equation is not going to work together.
My name is T.W. Campbell. The T stands for Tommy, the W stands for Wayne. And this is my wife, Patricia. Amen. She was still in school. I just got out of school.
He sang on the choir, I sang on the choir.
So I called her one night. A pastor said he needed somebody for Youth Day.
Our pastor was teaching on praying for what you wanted and your desires of your heart. And I began to pray that his attention would catch me. And believe it or not, as you can see, it did.
I called her and looked like something was a magnet or something that kept. We talked so long. We dated for about a year. And I got tired of going home. I got tired of her daddy telling me to go home. And so I asked her, would she marry me? And, she did.
The reason that I knew he was the one was because once he turned to me and he actually started talking to me, and I had prayed about it. So that's really the reason I knew he was the one, because I prayed to God for him and he came to me. And so I know God appointed it. I asked him for it and he gave it. I've been asking God a lot of things a long time.
The quality of a good marriage, you've got to have some good communication skills. If any relationship is going to last, communication is very, very important. You can't assume that your partner know what you're thinking or what have you, but you got to have that communication. When you have communication, you can just about solve 60% of your problem.
I think the qualities of a good marriage is that you make major decisions together. Decision making together is it's important in a marriage. And I think that being truthful and honest, most necessary, and qualities of talking and less fussing. A healthy relationship would be listening to each other and sometimes knowing that you can't always be right.
I think to promote anything is honesty. To share your true feelings. Don't hide anything that you know that's bothering you. Just go out and blurt it out. Just go ahead and choke and be done with it. Disagreement. We have our way of handling things. We talk sometimes. When we used to early in our marriage, but even before the children came, we had a problem. We'd go to the table. I said, let's go to the table. We would sit down and we would reason things out and talk things out. If anything was bothering me or bothering her, then this is how we would handle that, and it helped us a lot. As we got older, got grumpy and grouchier, and irritable and so forth, but we still find a way now to talk to each other because you still got to communicate. Bottom line.
I think that I handle disagreements by sometimes knowing when to kind of be quiet. Sometimes talking and fussing can escalate it. Waiting a calm time, talking about it, and you can really come back down from the high level of madness or angry down to a comfortable level of let's talk about this. Waiting to a time that you can just come back together and talk. And let's talk about this. So to me, if you're going to be angry in your marriage, sometimes it's not good to just go into a total fuss. Wait a little while and let's just talk about this later.
We're still better together simply because of who we are and who we serve. The Bible teaches us in all things acknowledge Him, and He will direct our path. So two is better than one. If one fall out, then the other can go get some help. But if we both fall out together, then we both have lost. So
still better together says through thick and thin, you're still together. Through trouble, you're still together. Through sickness, through health, you're still together. When you're poor, you're still together. If it's richer, hey, we're still together. It's when you don't have anything, the love is still there. Love will help you to stay together and be able to say, we're still better. Whatever comes our way, we can handle it together. There's nothing too hard for a good marriage to overcome.